guest with me today, Anedra Butler, who's a dear friend and also someone I've had the privilege to mentor. You might be saying to yourself, I need a mentor, but you may not be sure where to start and what you could possibly do or work on with a mentor. So today, Anedra has volunteered, or I volunteered her, to share some of her experience in finding a mentor and the impacts that it's made on her life. So you'll hear about that and anything else that Anedra wants to share. So thank you so much
for having me.
It's a blessing. And a couple of other things that I want you to know about Anedra, how I got to know her is Anedra is the executive pastor of Cornerstone Church here in Chesterfield. And that's how we met. You're my pastor, in addition to being my friend. And Anedra also is just a loving, fantastic wife and mother of some growing children. Boys and girls. So she just has so much going on in her life. And so how about anything I missed that you want the group to know about?
You covered it all.
Terrific. And by the way, Anedra, if anyone hears something as we're talking and they want to reach out to you, would it be okay?
Absolutely. Feel free. I would love to connect.
I'm going to share here on the screen, but also in the description will be how you can reach out to Anedra.
I would love to.
So, wow, let's just start where you feel like you want to start. And so why did you want a mentor? How did that even come up?
Wow, that's very interesting that you asked that question, because as I was thinking about how our relationship started, I thought about, how this all came about and the mentoring and our relationship that we have. It all started with me realizing and recognizing that I am a leader. And I didn't consider myself a leader. I didn't think that I had a significant role at the time. I was not an executive pastor at Cornerstone. I was just on staff as one of the pastors. And I felt, I don't have a significant role. I don't consider myself to be a leader. And it wasn't until one day you did a leadership training with us. And I realized, no, I am a leader. I am a leader. And once I accepted that role, that was when I started to say, well, I can't lead like I've been leading, because I've been leading as someone who didn't consider themselves a leader. And so you started talking about, how you were leading in your past roles. And I'm like, I want to do that. I want to be that kind of leader. I wanted to do something of significance. I wanted to be somebody and do something and help others to be better leaders. And I was like, well, I have to start by getting a mentor and showing me how to do this, because I didn't have what I felt I needed to be the leader that God called me to be.
And that's so significant, because Anedra was a leader. And it's so much about how we see ourselves. And when we don't see the significance of what we're currently doing and the potential that we have, we just can't grow and develop.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point.
So we connected through church. And if you could remember, we've known each other now for a while.
For a couple years.
But if you can remember, what was it that you were looking for in a leader? Because you were willing to put yourself out there to really kind of expose your weaknesses. And so what did you want in a mentor?
First, I wanted someone who was going where I wanted to go. So you had experience in leading in areas that I wanted to be able to lead. And so I wanted to get someone who was leading in that way. The other thing is I have a very strong personality. I have a very strong personality, and I wanted someone who was going to be honest with me.
Oh yeah.
And that was very important, that you weren't just going to tell me something I wanted to hear. You were honest with me, and you challenged me. I wanted someone who was going to challenge me, and not because it's easy for you just to say yes and be a yes person because I am your pastor.
Yes.
But your personality and your commitment to mentoring other women and men was that I want to be honest with you and get you to the place where you want to be. And it might be sometimes I may not agree with you. And I love that about you. You challenged me. You didn't agree with me. And I felt like that was allowing me to grow and be the leader that I wanted to be.
Well, that's good to hear. And I remember one of the things we did early on is we had a conversation about how do we want to work together. And so you talked about things like that. And in our next video, we'll share about what made this relationship work from my perspective. We talked about confidentiality because you are my pastor and I know your boss and you're the people that work for you. So that was really an important conversation to have. So we kind of laid it out in the table right up front.
We were honest from the beginning.
And let ourselves be vulnerable about it. So what do you think about, so here I am, I'm older than you by a few years. I'm not a pastor or a pastor's kid. I don't have that in my background. I'm a white woman. So I don't have children. I'm married, but I don't have kids. So there were a lot of things about us that are different. And how did that either attract you or put you off? How do you think those differences played in?
I didn't want someone who thinks like me or came from the same place as me. I wanted someone who had a different perspective on life.
Why was that?
Well, because
important?
I have my perspective, and I think that can only get you so far. This world is made up of leaders and other people who think differently than me, and so I wanted someone who had a different perspective on life and on leadership, because I realized I only could get so far thinking the way that I think. So that was very important to me. And I think we learn from each other. There are some challenges there when there's some differences there on how we see things, but I think it produces growth. It makes you a better leader. And I really wanted to be a better leader, so I had to take all that comes with that. And it's been a blessing to me to have you in my life. It really has.
And I can say that honestly, you've been a great blessing for me. I have to admit that, maybe I felt a little strange at first because of our differences, and you have rounded me out in so many ways and mentored me. It's like the bonus that I never, that I never expected. And, I'm not the only person who has influence in your life. You have other mentors, right?
I do.
And that's important, I think, to have other people speaking into your life.
I do. My pastor is one of my mentors. He's someone that I learn from. I have friends. I have family that my dad is a pastor. I consider him one of my mentors. So I do think I agree with you, and I'm glad that you said that. It's good to have different people in your life who pour into you. So it's been good to get those different perspectives.
So let's talk about some of the meat of our conversations. We kind of were feeling our way a little bit at the beginning. What are some of your early memories of our mentoring? Do you have any that pop in mind? Oh, no.
Yes, I do.
We might be editing this part out.
Oh, no. I remember you asking me, what do I want? That was the question that you asked, and you might remember what I used to say to you all the time.
I do know. Please share.
I don't know. That would be my answer. I don't know. And you would tell me, no, you do know. You do know what you want. And so now when I answer questions, I think about what I do want, or what maybe, and you challenge me, well, what don't you want? And I started there, and that helped me to see what I wanted. And then I remember you asking me, once I told you what I wanted, I was like, but everybody wants that. And you're like, no, God put that desire in you.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what you want. Everybody doesn't want that. The fact that you have that desire in your heart, that is something that God put there. And it just made me realize, wow, okay, this is what, not everybody wants to do this. This is what I have the desire to do. So I need to go with my gut, go with what's in my heart, what brings me joy, and what I dream about. And so, I remember those two things. And I just think about, if you hadn't asked me those questions, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Because once I figured out what I wanted to do, it changed how I lead, how I teach, how I preach on Sunday mornings.
Wow.
It gave me a confidence, like, no, this is what I'm called to do.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And that's such an important starting point for anyone that's starting out in mentoring. it's not unusual to be more clear about what you don't want.
Right.
That's what we often go through because we're focused on the problems or the difficulties that we're having. And you stuck with it. And you let me challenge you in that way. And after a while, sometimes we joke about it, but I would just be, no, you know what you want.
And I'm so glad that you challenged me to invest in myself and fight for myself.
Yeah.
And that wasn't something I was used to doing or that I thought was okay to do, to fight for myself. As a leader, it is okay for me to fight for myself.
Yes, it is.
So that was a key lesson that you taught me.
Yeah. And fight for yourself, I hope, in a way that isn't combative, that doesn't turn other people off.
Absolutely.
And so that kind of, let's just go in a direction of, if you think about some of the changes that you've made, not just from our mentoring, but over these last few years, how have you seen yourself grow as a leader? You've said you've gotten more clear, confident. You're not confident, you're not afraid to, ask for and go after what you want. Anything else come into mind?
But I also think just along the lines with fighting for myself, it was learning to have grit, but also grace.
Oh, what's that about? What do you mean?
So grit and grace is that I can say what I need to say, but I can do it in a way that isn't combative, that is clear, that my thoughts are very clear and thought out, that I have a mentor, I have someone that I can go to that I can trust to be honest with me and say, hey, this is what I see, this is what I feel like I need to say. And another thing you taught me was practice. Practice what you're going to say so that you can think through those thoughts and that it's clear. So I would say that now when I am having conversations or when I'm challenged in different areas, I practice and think about what I want to say so that my thoughts are clear, that when I go in and I have a conversation, I'm not second guessing myself. Yeah. I have confidence and I thought out what I wanted to say and I know what I want.
Yeah.
And I kind of go in with that, knowing what I want to
accomplish.
Yes. Yeah. So I think I've become a much better leader in that sense, in knowing what I want.
Yeah.
And I think it started from that, knowing what I wanted.
And I also remember us talking about, we have emotions. We feel strongly about things. We have to deal with conflicts, and we have disagreements, or just we can be upset about things that people do. And I got the sense that you really learned to still move forward and manage those emotions.
Yes.
Would that be fair to say?
And that's where I think grit and grace comes in.
Okay.
Because I can do it in a way that, like I said, my personality is, I want to tell you like it is. But as a leader, that's not always necessary. You have to learn when to be quiet, when to speak, how to present yourselves, because you don't want someone to cut you off or discount you before you even say anything. So you want them to be able to listen to what you're saying. So absolutely, you challenged me that even though I felt a certain way about something, that I would think it through and then approach it, that I wouldn't be afraid to approach whatever challenge that I was having, that I could do it, and I can do it with grit, but also grace.
Grace. I love that. Grit and grace. I got to remember that. I think one of the things that you did that I really appreciated is you involved your boss. I mean, you didn't keep this a secret. It's not that you talked about everything that we did, but what role did you let your boss or ask your boss to play in this, and what kind of impact did that have?
Well, I think it took me being honest with him about what I wanted.
Okay.
So I never shared with him what I wanted. And so once I shared with him, I was honest with him about what I wanted. I invited him to be on the journey with me.
Oh, wow.
And he knew about our relationship, so I wasn't, meeting with you secretly or anything like that. He respected you. And so he knew that the advice that you were giving me was healthy advice. But I invited him on the journey with me, meaning that there were times where he didn't understand where I was coming from as a female. Yeah.
Oh, so how did that play out?
So there's a difference between male leadership and female leadership. And so he invited me to offer him a perspective that he didn't have or see. And I invited him to do the same. And we let down, I'll at least say from my perspective, I had to let down some walls that I had up, because I felt like as a woman that I had to fight and I had to do things a little bit differently than he as a man. And so we both opened up. He allowed me to share things with him that I'll say blind spots is what we call them.
Yeah.
He allowed me to call out some blind spots that he had, and same for me.
Yeah.
And so it was just inviting him on the journey with me, the challenges that came with it, but also the victories.
And so as we kind of, there's so much that we could go, but as we kind of wrap up, what would you want those watching who are thinking about, mentors, what do you want them to know about finding a mentor, working with a mentor? Just tell our audience.
I would say one of the things that Jane has taught me is about it's okay not to have all the answers. As a leader, maybe you don't have the same issues, the challenges that I had of thinking of myself as a leader. You already know that you're a leader. But maybe the challenge you have is thinking that, as a leader, I have to know it all. If I ask for a mentor, if I seek a mentor, is that saying something about my leadership? And the answer is no. I would challenge you to get a mentor, and that it's okay not to have the answers, that to surround yourself with people who know what you don't know, and that can help you grow as a leader and challenge you as a leader. Take the risk. And that's what leaders do. We take risks.
Boy, that's so good. Yeah. And if you're not willing to make yourself vulnerable and take that risk, you can't really level up. You can't keep getting to that next level. So I look forward to our next conversation. And you can turn the tables and interview me about because mentoring is a two-way relationship. And you've talked about, a lot of things, but it took two of us. So I'll be curious to, find out what you want to know from my perspective and how that worked for you. So we look forward to seeing you next time. There'll be a link at the end of this video where if you're looking for a mentor, and if you decide I need and I want a mentor, come back and hear more to move you along that journey. I'm your mentor, Jane, and this is my friend and my colleague, my leadership colleague, and my pastor, Anedra Butler. Thank you for watching.